Power isn't found. It's forged. Who you are today is not a sentence, it's a draft. And Law 25 of the 48 Laws of Power reveals this simple truth: you can recreate yourself. Not once. Not twice. But as many times as it takes to become the person the world cannot ignore. You're not chained to your past. You're not trapped in your upbringing, your resume, your reputation. You are the artist and the art. You are the sculptor and the marble. And that's terrifying and liberating at the same time. Most people live by default. They play the roles they were assigned, by their parents, their culture, their teachers, their early mistakes. They let labels define them. They fall into routines that feel safe but shrink their potential. And when you live like that, you don't control your life, you react to it. You chase approval. You obey invisible rules. You wait for permission to be someone bigger. But the powerful don't wait. The powerful decide. They don't ask, "Who am I?" They ask, "Who do I want to become?" And then they start building. Recreation is the ultimate act of power because it puts the brush in your hand. You no longer exist by accident, you exist by design. Every movement, every word, every style choice, every public moment becomes part of a performance. Not in a fake way, but in a focused way. Because once you realize that life is theater, you stop stumbling through it and start directing it. You stop being cast and start casting yourself. The most dangerous thing you can be is predictable. The most forgettable thing you can be is consistent. That's what Law 25 shatters. It gives you permission to change. To evolve. To burn down your old image and rise again, stronger, sharper, more compelling. Not because you're faking anything, but because you're growing on purpose. Because you know what message you want to send to the world, and you know how to send it with precision. Look at the greats. The ones who stay relevant. The ones who dominate not just for a year, but for decades. They don't stay the same. They reinvent. David Bowie didn't live one life, he lived 10. Madonna, Steve Jobs, Jay-Z, Lady Gaga, they didn't wait for the world to evolve around them. They evolved in front of the world. They created new selves, new symbols, new stories. They shocked, they adapted, they surprised, and in doing so, they stayed powerful. But recreating yourself is not about gimmicks. It's not about pretending. It's about expansion. It's about asking, what is no longer serving me, and letting it go. It's about asking, what am I truly capable of, and moving toward it, even if it scares you. Especially if it scares you. Because every powerful version of yourself lives just outside your comfort zone. And the more often you step into the unknown, the more familiar it becomes. But here's the key: recreation isn't just about appearance. It's about essence. You can change your look, your tone, your career, your name, but if you don't change your mindset, you're just putting new clothes on the same fear. True recreation is internal first. It's a shift in belief. It's letting go of the idea that you have to stay loyal to an old version of yourself just because that's what people expect. Expectations are chains. Break them. You don't owe anyone your consistency. You don't owe the world your predictability. You owe yourself the chance to live fully, expansively, truthfully. And that means being willing to let go of the version of you that fit back then, but feels too small now. You don't live in that skin anymore. You've outgrown it. That version of you got you here, but it won't get you to the next level. Honor it, and move on. There's nothing more powerful than someone who reinvents with purpose. Not out of desperation, not out of fear, but out of vision. You see where you're going. You know what the moment demands. And you rise to meet it, not as who you were, but as who you choose to be. You understand that reinvention isn't a one-time thing, it's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's power in motion. And yes, people will resist it. They'll say you've changed, like that's a bad thing. They'll cling to the old you because it makes them feel safe. But you're not here to be safe. You're here to be great. Let them talk. Let them question. Let them watch. Because when you recreate yourself, when you step into the next evolution of your power, they'll see it. They'll feel it. They'll respect it, even if they don't understand it. You have to be willing to disrupt your own identity. To walk away from the comfortable narrative. To say, that was me, but this is me now. And when you do that, you give others permission to grow too. You become a mirror for their own potential. You become a living example that we're not fixed. We're fluid. And power belongs to the ones who shape their identity with intention. But understand, recreation takes work. It takes clarity. You have to know what you're aiming for. You have to visualize it. Live it in your mind before the world sees it. That's how you embody it fully. Because people don't follow empty change, they follow embodied energy. When your shift is real, they feel it before you say a word. It's in your posture, your energy, your rhythm. And that's when doors open. That's when rooms respond. So ask yourself, what version of you is waiting to be born? What voice have you been hiding? What talent have you buried under old roles and tired stories? Peel them off. Strip it down. Get raw. Then start building. Layer by layer, choice by choice. Not to impress anyone, but to express the truest, boldest version of who you are becoming. Because the most powerful people aren't discovered, they're created. This law is the blueprint. It says, design yourself. Sculpt yourself. Become your own invention. Stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. The world will adapt. But only after you decide. And when you do, do it fully. Don't just dip your toe in transformation, dive in. Be relentless in your reinvention. Be unapologetic about your growth. Be bold in your self-definition. Because the one who recreates themselves becomes unforgettable. You are not static. You are not defined by one season of your life. You are change. You are movement. You are a constant evolution. And that is your power. That is your edge. That is what makes you limitless. The version of you that exists 5 years from now should make the current you look like a draft. And that only happens when you treat your life like a canvas, and you refuse to stop painting. So don't just accept the self the world gave you. Design the self you want the world to know. The self that commands attention, that radiates purpose, that lives on your own terms. That's not ego, that's self-awareness. That's ownership. And that's what power really is: authorship of your identity, mastery over your narrative, and the courage to become whatever the moment demands. The question is never, can I change? The question is, am I willing to? Am I willing to let go of comfort? Am I willing to be misunderstood for a while? Am I willing to shed the skin of who I was to step into who I'm meant to be? If the answer is yes, then step forward. Step boldly. Recreate yourself not just once, but again and again, until your life feels like a masterpiece sculpted with intention and fire. Because when the world sees someone who has shaped themselves with purpose, who walks like they know who they are, who speaks with clarity and conviction, they can't look away. That's magnetic. That's power. And it begins with a decision, to stop living on autopilot and start living by design. To stop being a reaction and start being a creation. This is your life. Your canvas. Your story. Make it breathtaking. Make it bold. Make it yours.